Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for episode 2 of Happy Life Podcast. Happy Life Podcast is all about relationships and how to develop that happy life and what does that relationship process looks like and the woes and challenges that we may go through as women of God, trying to really just focus on being healthy, happy, and not dealing with all the different toxicity things that is going on in the world. So this afternoon, I got my girl Nikki with me, and we're gonna talk all about the process of, we both have the thing in common. I was married for 25 years. Nikki was married for a very long time as well. And just talking about like, girl, how you get back into the game? Because we got so many people who have either been divorced or had a really bad breakup and they like, I'm not doing this no more. So let's talk a little bit about today how we get to this happy face, to the place where we back to ourselves, back to the place where we are ready to jump back out here again.
All right. Hi, everybody.
So Nikki, let's talk about it. So you were married for it was 12 years?
Um, I don't know. Let me see.
It's
Something
about
like
something like that. It was
yeah.
about 12. So you know, you freshly, you know, you got divorced, and then after 12 years of going through all the things you had to do through being a wife and a mother and so forth, and then you was like, okay, I'm ready to get back out here to really get to that place of happiness, and being with someone and having a partner. Like, so let's talk through like what was that journey like?
So I've been through that more than once. So that's why I got to start adding up years, right? Um, but for me, it's a little bit different. Because someone told me recently that I am very cerebral, and I'm gonna own that label because what I used to do is I try to be more logical than emotional because I understand that my emotions are temporary. And I also believe that the only things that last are the things that I allow to marinate.
Mhm.
So, my process with any situation, whether it's a relationship situation, any other personal situation or work situation, I usually take some time to myself to pull away from other stuff to just go through and process everything that happened. And then I'm also one of those people that I look to take accountability for my actions in a situation because I believe that no matter what happened, even if that person was just downright dirty, there
Mhm.
was something I did to contribute to it or something I could have done to mitigate. Because even if they were downright dirty, there were probably signs that I missed or I ignored. I always say the things we accept are the things we regret.
Yep.
So those signs that I accepted are the things when I sat back in my room, because I'll go in my room and close the door for a couple of days. I'm like, damn, yep, something I regret or something I should have paid greater attention to.
And I love that you talk about that because I think, when we started really talking about what Happy Life does and the new book that's coming out on July 7th, Happy Life Finding Yourself in Love Without Compromise, we talk about the reflection piece. And I think it's key that I think so many people miss that piece. They listen to the piece where it's like, well, when you break up with another, you just get up under another person and that help you to get over that person. But I
Mm,
think that's not the healthiest way to do it. I think we setting ourselves for failure when we do that, or we become so bitter when we're like, well, I'm done with men, I'm done with women, whichever, whether you're a man or a woman, you say that, and it's just like, y'all, when we gonna take the pause to really start to look at us?
that song, one of my favorite songs, Erica Badu, Bag Lady. That's
Mhm.
when she said, Bag Lady, you got all them bags, all that stuff you carrying that you didn't process and release. So when you go and you try to slide up under something else, when you slide up under it, you still have everything attached to you that you didn't process and release yet. And then also taking some accountability for the situation. I mean, it's very rare that you had no accountability at all in that situation, or is it something that you overlooked? Because I know when you're with somebody, you're loving them, you're trying to give them a chance, and you don't want to be hypercritical. But when you look back, those things that we chose not to be hypercritical about or to investigate further are the things that God sent us to show us, hey, you might want to have another look at this, or this is not quite for you. I remember the first time I got married, my ring, before I got married, my ring dropped in the sink 3 times back to back in the same bathroom at the same sink at the same time. And it was like, why aren't you coming out the bathroom? Because I sat there and processed, like, God, are you trying to tell me something? You know that song, God is trying to tell you something. It was playing in the back. I listened, but I chose to move forward anyway because, we had supposed to be married prior and we had already had children. So I was like, I'm gonna give him a chance so we can have this nuclear family thing going. But that, along with a few other things that I had started noticing, gave me pause. And I wasn't gung ho about getting married in the first place, but I did love him. I was young, so I said, okay, whatever, let's try it. Now, maybe not the best way to go, but again, I had other things I had to deal with too to make me be a better wife and put me in a better position as a woman.
And I think what I hear you saying is that it's important for us as women as we go into relationships and we think about what it is that, causes us to have this happy life. It's listening to ourselves, being confident in who we are, and really being confident in the relationship that we are in too. Because I think sometimes we want to have the husband. We want the American dream. You want the big house, you want the husband, you want the kids, you want the car, you want the best job, you want to be living your living your best life. That's what we think the happy life is. And then we don't pause to really, like you said, am I listening to God? Am I listening what he's trying to tell me? Were there red flags prior to this and I just ignored them because I want what the world say I should have versus me really taking the time to reflect and think about, have we built that trust? Have we built that intimacy? Have we built that vulnerability in a relationship?
Think too, first, there's two parts that most people, this is what I tell, even with my children, friends, family members, they always complain about people, as they say, lying to them or not being who they said they are. But most people, unfortunately, in society today are very shallow in our thinking. And because we're shallow in our thinking, we're shallow in our emotions, and we're shallow in our planning process. So before you even get into a marriage, a lot of people think marriage is all the stuff that you just said, the shiny, happy people. But they don't understand that in order for a house to stand, there has to be a foundation and there has to be a framework. And so what looks good on the outside, there was a lot of work, there was a lot of planning, there were a lot of blood, sweat, tears that were put into that foundation and into that framework before you were able to really build a home. So people want to buy a house and think they can build a home, but that's not going to work. And we don't even do the work a lot of times, like we said, because we're very shallow to understand who we are, what we want, what makes us tick. So if I don't know who I am as a person, I can't make a good choice and the type of mate that I want. So when I'm looking at them, all I see is a shiny package. I don't know how to unwrap that package and understand whether or not that package is going to fit me. Um, and then also trying to understand what is it that I bring to a table for the man in our relationship, and if we complement each other so that we can have a strong team. So I have to understand myself, be able to understand and pay attention to who he is and know what it is that I'm looking for. Just because you 6 foot whatever and tall, dark, and handsome, quite sexy, don't mean you're gonna be my husband. Because that's not who I married. I told him no.
Right.
Well, it's fine. Don't get me wrong now. Woo! But he couldn't lead my household. He couldn't be my husband. He was good eye candy.
Right.
He's on a date, but that was it.
Exactly. And let's talk about that. Let's break that down. Like, because even when you I know you remarried and you're in a new marriage and so forth. But like even before, let's talk about the dating process. Like, what were some of the things that you talked about the reflection piece and not looking at the eye candy. So, what would you say is some of like the lessons learned as you started this dating process? You learned some stuff about yourself, but what did you learn when you was out there dating?
Um, I'm gonna say honestly, I'm weird because I knew myself very well before I got into it. And even my dad told me like, you're not gonna deal with mess too long. And my tolerance for mess is like, I don't know if I can make it small enough, but it's just barely touching.
Airline.
But so for me, what I had to learn is that what I was looking for, I was not gonna find. I was looking for a needle in a haystack. Because when I'm dating, I even did, I was suggested to do the online dating thing. I met two people that told me they met their spouse on OK Cupid, right? So I was like, well, maybe it is something to this. So I tried it. But in conversation, what I notice is that this is how I figure out most people are very shallow when they're thinking in it, or they're not being honest with me about what it is they're looking for. You're saying you want a long-term committed relationship. So I'm asking you long-term committed relationship type questions, right? We're not trying to kick the bobos. I'm like, what you like to do? Let's go party. Let's go drink, whatever. Fine, if that's what you're looking for.
Right.
But when we set long-term monogamous, maybe leading to marriage, what is your 5-year plan? Do you have a 3-year plan? Come on, bro, give me something, right? Like, what do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now? What are your goals in life? Like asking about religion, or what do you have, money? These are questions that you should ask if you're getting ready to marry somebody or trying to have well, I'm not going to say money, long-term relationship, you're thinking about it, but you need to ask those questions about, what are your general politics in terms of morals, ethics? What do you think a woman's role is in a relationship or in the home? Do you believe in God? Now, I'm a Christian, but my husband's a Muslim. But when I've read the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah straight through in high school, so I know a lot of the scriptures are the same, right? And he and I think a lot, very much so alike. But before I met him dating, I was getting discouraged. Like, God, this is what's out here.
You was getting some of the
I was like, these slut buckets winning. I might have to change teams. God, come on and show me something now. Help a sister out. You
no.
know, I was like, just talking crazy. That's how I do. Me and God just you chit chatting like it's some. I had got a phone call. I was asking these questions, and the man literally told me that if I kept asking those kind of questions, people would get bored with me really quickly. And I said, "Oh, thanks for letting me know that." But from that, I know that you and I are not a good match. And I hope that you found what you're looking for. So you can have a wonderful day. No, we don't need to see each other this weekend.
Yes. And
You
and
know, hmm
key and important because we talk about this and in Happy Life and we talk about even in the new book we talk all about this life this phase of loneliness and what loneliness isolation preparation season where we start to figure those things out. What do I really want? Do I love me first before I'm expected to love somebody else? And then as I get into my vulnerability piece, I do need to be able to ask you some of these questions because if you're not ready to be open up with me and be free and tell me long-term goals, passions, disappointments, things that excite you, things that you want to do in the future,
hmm
yourself, where you are spiritually, all those different things, then it's not going to work. I think so many times we find right now in the dating scene, everybody wants the bad girl. They want the bad girl, they want the Instagram girl, want the girl with the BBD with the BBLs, and
they don't really those girls though. Because I look back at my high school alumni, most of them are not married to the bad girl. It's
right.
the bitch
That's what
that got it.
and that's what I'm thinking about. It's like, the world keeps portraying that you got to go get the BBL and you got to be the girl that wants the bag, and that's what Instagram is putting out here. So we have so many people that's falling in this trap about things and what the person can provide instead of understanding, are you a good person? Do you have good character? Do you have integrity? Are you going to take care? Are you going to go to work every day?
Hey,
It's like those pieces that we missing, or because we don't want to be alone, we just starting to take anything because I
that's
think
right there. People, you speed through that phase because what happens is, like you said, the lonely takes over, and you start to marinate and feed and focus on the fact that I'm lonely rather than waiting for a better meal. It's like I went to Burger King and then somebody came 30 minutes later and said, "Let's go to the steakhouse." What did I really want? I wanted steak and shrimp. Burger King or McDonald's. So wait the extra 30 minutes. Do the preparation, you know, um, and understand the difference between what one again, I'm going back to, do you know who you are and what you want and what does it look like? You might not know the package it comes in, but you should know how to read the label to see what the ingredients are. So when we look at this and we are trying to just get out and have some fun, you want the guy that's all up in your face, kikiing or whatever, the one that's looking for the bad chick, but understand the drama that comes with that. Because just like you got a big booty and a thin waist, how many more big booty and thin waist are there out there?
a lot.
Okay? I went to the doctor's office this morning. It was 3 of them in there, and it was working there. I'm just saying. So what are you going to give that's going to solidify your position? They'll look at you, but are they willing to do what it takes to maintain you? So I used to tell people back in the day, it's a couple of different types of women. And this is the same thing for men. You have the ones that's like the Burger King drive through, have it your way, move fast through, get what I gotta get, and I'm gone, right? You have the ones that's gonna go to the motel, the little cheap one that you could pay for about an hour. I might stay a little bit longer with you. Those are the ones I'm gonna date you and have fun with you for right now. Then you could go up and get you an apartment. I'm keeping you right now until I find my home. So
Mhm.
those are the that use you as a placekeeper.
Come on now.
Then you're gonna have the women like me that's about to get that mortgage paid because it's wifey. It's I want a mortgage. This is long-term commitment. I'm gonna sign my name on the dotted line. So you got to understand based on how you're advertising yourself, what market you place yourself in. If you out here ratchet in them streets with your booty cheeks hanging out, you Burger King, they gonna slide right through you and slide right out the door.
Yep.
Now, you might not be showing everything. You might have a little bit of good conversation. So they might take you to a motel or a resort short term. You
Mhm.
have a little more substance. We can start that exploration phase where maybe I'll take you and be like an apartment.
Yep.
And they may have intentions to see whether or not they're going to wife you. And some of them may just be keeping you in order to fill the space for right now because you're providing those basic needs. So
Yep.
when you get to that point, you have to look at that man and see what he's doing, what his morals are, and a little bit more than just y'all going out and kicking it to see if he's looking at you as wife material and also is he husband material.
There you go. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's key and important because if you don't look at it like that, you find yourself in these predicaments and then you step back and go, how did I get here?
five, 5 to 10 years in the apartment phase.
Yes,
And then as soon as he get his stuff together, he done got his good job and everything. He'd have found the woman he want to spend the rest of his life with. He wipes her up in a couple of months. It
exactly.
doesn't spend that long to figure out if you the one. I'm just letting you know.
Yes, they know right away if you the one or not. And I think that's key and important for us as we're in this dating phase. As I say, in Happy Life, I always talk about I'm the prize. We the prize. We as the women, we are the prize. And I think it's important for us to remember that and understand what it is our value is so we don't settle for the things of the we don't settle for the apartment phase. We don't settle for we actually are in the phase where we are, you start the dating conversation when you're talking about you're interested and they say, "Oh, I'm looking for long term." And you tell them, "Well, hey, I'm looking for my intentions in dating is to be married." You say that up front. And if that is the thing that pushes him away, he wasn't the one in the first place. I
I'm
think
going to for
but
that one right there. What I've learned is there has to be follow up when you say that. You can't just say I'm dating to get married. I say, but just understand that doesn't mean I'm automatically ready to marry you. This is my ultimate goal. And this is an interview and socialization phase to see if that's something I'd even want with you. So don't assume just because I'm looking to get married that I'm jumping to get married. I'm very intentional and purposeful in
right,
my decision making in that process. So don't feel like I'm going to sweat you to get married tomorrow because that is not my position.
exactly.
So
Or
kind
thinking that the goal is just to be married because
of,
like, oh, anybody can fit the bill. No, anybody can't fit the bill. It has to be the right man, the man that's equally yoked, the man that's aligned with me, the man that's going to, you know, be the partner that I need, that we can work hand to hand together and do these things together to fulfill us being that purpose of being man and wife. Everybody
about
knows what it is.
right because I just thought about something. I was a mess. So I'm a mess in terms of being firm about knowing what I wanted. Okay. Um, I used to tell men with that situation that there are two types of men from the way I categorize them. There's a Mr. Right Now and there's Mr. Lifetime. And
Mhm.
Mr. Right Now is fun. We can date. We enjoy each other's company. But Mr. Lifetime is the one I want to be my husband, the one I trust to be the head of my household. So, there's a lot of Mr. Right Nows and one or a few lifetimes out there in the world. You know what I mean? So just understand that just because we're dating doesn't mean that I have intentions on marrying you. And just because we're dating doesn't mean that I consider that we're in a committed relationship. We are not in that type of relationship until we have that conversation.
Exactly. And I think it's key and important for us to be upfront and to talk about what it is that we want and what it is that we need.
Mhm.
Also do that reflection piece, but also understand we need to work on some of these skill sets. We need to work on that trust factor, because you can't look for Mr. Lifetime if you can't if you're not in a place where you can trust and be vulnerable and open
Or
to.
be received and prepared for them. Because you said we're but the prize, right? Some people, you go to baby showers and spray the shower, stuff like that, they get door prizes. Some people go to the dollar store, some go to Five Below, some go to Macy's. The dollar store prize or the Macy's prize. So we have to make sure we prepare ourselves as women and as individuals to be able to, like you said, we want them to be equally yoked with us. And for the type of man that we're looking for, we should also be equally yoked with him, or at least be in a position to complement him so that we can help each other's, reach our goals, be his peace, or whatever it is that is necessary at that point between the two of you that you decide that we can offer each other.
Exactly. And I think that's key and important, because a lot of times I think people get into relationships and they always think about what the other person is bringing to the table to them, but you haven't taken the step back to realize what are you bringing to the relationship. So many times people be like, well, girl, he got this and this and this. So the guy be like, yeah, she like this and she educated, she got her own house, she got this and da 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 da. And it'd be like, yeah, it's dope. I love all this. And it's like, okay, but what are you bringing? And everybody always thinks, when I say, what are you bringing? They always think monetarily. And yes, we want you to have a job, whether you the woman coming to the man or the man coming to the woman. Yes, you should be employed or entrepreneur or making money or doing something to sustain yourself. But that's not the key factor. Do you have integrity? Are you kind? Are we gonna be able to go out and you not cussing out the wait staff? Girl,
Women don't understand that when you act like that, you put that man's life in danger, because as a man, he seeks to protect you, or especially if you're doing it with another man. Now he feels like he needs to step in and fight for you when it could have been a simple conversation, excuse me, or something, and you created a detrimental situation for him and possibly yourself.
exactly. And
So
so
think.
it's like, think. It's like, are you courtesy to the waitstaff? Are you putting his life in danger? Or vice versa? Do you have a man that you with that pops off for every 5 minutes? Or he bumped into me, and then you got to be ready for that. It's all those things that are key and important. And important. How is he with How is he with other people? Is he an introvert? And do he like to be around crowds and all these other different things? You help him to understand each other. Is he a family person? Is he a person? Does he need his space?
you know Dated someone who was definitely just not I'm not going to say he was an introvert, but he didn't like, when he got off work or whatever, he didn't want to be bothered with family, kids, none of that. And I'm
Mhm.
like, that's just not going to work for me, because I have my nieces and nephews spending nights and weekends at my house, maybe a week sometimes.
Right.
you know I can't be with somebody, no matter how good we are one-on-one, when I know when the rest of my life comes into play, we're not going to be a good match, because that's not going to be a happy house, because that's going to create extra stress on him, because I have him there on me, because I can no longer do those kind of things at all
Right.
with him being my husband. So that just was not going to work. So you just definitely got to think about that, like, personality types and our interests and things of that nature. What things do we have that bond us together? What things do we have that we can do together that continues to allow us to continue to learn and grow with each other? I say I want to love, work, play, all that with my spouse.
Exactly. And I think that's key and important, because I think a lot of times when people think about these different things, like I said, they think about the mental, or they just think about the mental, and they think about the financial, and then they think about the physical pieces. And I always say this all the time, that love is not the only thing that's going to keep the love starts the relationship, but it's the communication, it's the trust, it's the vulnerability, the growing
Mhm.
together, the compromise, and um being there for each other, supporting each other. That's what keeps the relationship going. It's the prayer life. Those are the things that keep the relationship going. Love
Yes.
isn't enough to sustain it.
I I was engaged multiple times or I've been asked multiple times. But my husband is the one person I never would have thought that I would have chosen just by looking at him.
Mhm.
And everybody's like, "What? This the one you chose?" Yes, because guess what? He's the first person that truly supported me in everything I did, not just verbally, but in action. You know, um, Having a conversation where we could have a conversation openly, to the point where, I realized like he was my best friend. To whenever something happened, the first person I was thinking to call was my kiddo. Like, what? Like, how did this happen? The questions that I ask people while dating, I decided at some point I wasn't going to ask those questions. I said, let me see the man that asked me these questions. And I prayed about it. And God had this man on the phone asking me these questions. I was like, what? Yo, little ugly got sexy. What? Come on now, say that again. Do it. Say it. Do it. And that's kind of what made me realize that he was different from the rest of the pack.
Yeah. And I totally get that. I say that. I think people have to also, and as we get ready to wrap up, I want to say this other thing I want people to realize too is that you can't compare your situation to the other person's situation. I think so many times that, somebody's listening to us this afternoon and they're listening to us on the show and they're like, oh, I'm gonna do it the way Nikki did it, or I'm gonna do it the way Marquise did it. But not understanding is you have to do it the way you need to do it, because what my deal breakers are, what my values are, may not be the same as yours or the next person's. And so I think it's important to figure out who you are, what it is that you want, what are you looking for, and don't compare your relationship to somebody else's relationship, because once you start to do that, you're allowing other forces to come in and you're not allowing it to be your authentic self. And like I always say, allowing the relationship to progress naturally.
Organic. Yes, let it be organic. And then here's the thing though. So most of my friends can talk to me about their relationships, good or bad, because see, what I understand is you only tell me what you want me to tell me. I'm not there every day to see everything that happens. So when you have a friend that's frustrated about the relationship and they're fussing, that's not the totality of the relationship. And just because she got flowers at work today, 3 times this week, doesn't mean they have a good relationship. She might be getting those flowers because she caught him cheating or he did something else he had no business doing. So just from looking on from the outside in, you can't really tell what's going on in that situation. And what I need from a man may not be what you need from a man. So you have to look at that situation in terms of what is it that I need and how is that displayed, right? And then understanding who your man is or your woman, whoever your mate is, what is it that they need? How does that look for them? How do I provide that? Because quality time is not the same for everybody. Some people believe quality time is sitting in a room reading a book together.
Right. Or going for a walk.
I'm not going. We can sit in a room and read a book together. That's fine. But guess you doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. I don't feel like that's quality time. But some people who are avid readers or whatever the case may be, or they want to play video games together, that's them. So you have to figure out again, like I said, what works for you, what makes you tick, what do you need, what's missing in your life, and then can I provide this other person what it is they need, and do I think this is somebody who I can grow long term with?
Yeah. And so, as we get to wrap it up, I want to ask you this last question to just put it all in one big piece for us. Tell us,
Mm-hmm.
what would be the 3 pieces of advice that you would give the woman who just starting the process. She realized that she wants to be in partnership. She wants to heal, or the man or the woman who realizes they want to be in partnership. They just went through the process of healing, and they're getting back out here again in the dating game. And so, what would you say? Hey, these are the things that I would just say. Start with this.
The first thing one is just understanding yourself, who you are, what your desires are, what your goals are, your needs, your wants. I have this thing. I have the 3 things: must haves, things I can compromise on, and my deal breakers.
Mhm.
So once you put most things that you're going to see in a relationship into those 3 categories, that gives you some standards to go by when you start to engage this person, and you know what to really look for in terms of these are green flags, these are red flags, or these are things that we need to talk about and see where we both stand if we could get there, and to make it work that way. But outside of that, I always tell people be careful of what ponds you swim in. So understand the type of man that you want, and be strategic about where you find him at. Now, if you want the one that's gonna kick it and do whatever, yeah, you go find him on the block, right? You want your Christian man, you could probably start at church. They're not all real Christians though, so be careful about that too. If you want you a man that's professional, you kind of have some similar things in common. You'll go to maybe some different organizations. Like for me, I believe in community service, so I go to Rotary. I'm in these different organizations that do community service, and that could be your networking pool. And then also look into, and there's nothing wrong with online dating, or they have this thing called events and adventures. So if you're a person that likes to get out and do things, you're pretty adventurous, maybe you want to go ahead and participate with that. And then also do that check-in. So even as you start dating somebody, or if you really want to do the long-term relationship thing, I believe in checking in every so often. I don't care if it's 3 months, 6 months. I say probably don't go more than 6 months without checking in with your mate just to see if they're satisfied with the relationship, if it's something they want you to do or to do more of or to stop doing. Because I think that helps to sustain your relationship once you get into one.
I echo that. I think, that's something that me and my significant other do all the time. We do regular check-ins, and our check-ins look at, tell me what are the five things that are great with us? Where are the areas where I can improve? And so you notice I didn't say, everyone, what are the areas where they can improve? I said, what are the areas that I can improve? Because the one thing that you'll find that once you're in the relationship, you can't always look outward and point to the person and say you need to do this. When you start to really continually, when you are whole and healed and ready to be in a relationship, and ready to have that happy life piece, you're always going to be focusing on what can I do differently, because the thing that you can only change is you can't change the other person. So, and then you ask the other person to answer those same questions, and then it won't be a you, well, you need me to do this and you need me to do this. They're doing it out of their own desire to be better for you and be better for the relationship as a whole, versus they feel like they're being made to do something.
Yeah, because the way you ask the question or the situation where you prompt, I need you to do this, is different when it's a check-in, then you get upset and you say something. So that's one thing. But then I'll say also, if you're in the process of healing, one of the things that I had to learn for me, because like I said, I reflect, is I had to learn to be okay with not having the answers, because sometimes you won't get the answer or there is no answer. So sometimes as you're in the process of healing, just understand you may not have all the answers. You just have to be okay with that, and then think about what can I do better next time, or what do I need to do, and make sure you don't carry any resentment or whatnot from the last person into the new relationship. Just because I said or did something that's similar to this person doesn't mean I am that person or I'm going to do the same thing.
That's when that healing takes place. Well, Nikki, I just want to say thank you for spending the afternoon with us here on Happy Life Podcast. We really have enjoyed you and your insights, and really taking what you have said to us to help us to reflect and think. And of course, this is what Happy Life is all about: us reflecting and thinking and understanding who we are, healing from our past, and really diving into that reflection piece, and then strengthening ourselves and our relationship, with God, and helping us to understand and listening to God and letting God lead us. And like you said, wait the extra 30 minutes. It may be longer than 30 minutes, but that's our analogy, y'all. But waiting for God to do this thing for you instead of you forcing it. And of course, what we always say is allowing the relationship to happen organically, and get to know each other with communication, with honesty, with vulnerability, to see if this is the right fit for you. So that way you're not becoming that placeholder or living in that apartment for 5 years and not moving into the house where you're in the mortgage. So I want to just thank you again for spending time with us. And we thank you, everyone, for joining episode 2 of Happy Life. As you know, Happy Life, Finding Yourself and Love Without Compromise, will be out on July 7th on Amazon. It will be coming out soon, so get ready for it. And don't forget, the September of 2024, we will be doing our classes all around how to go through the process of getting that happy life. So look for that. You can always find us and get more information at by Marquise 2021 at gmail.com. That's by Marquise 2021 at gmail.com. See you guys for the next time. Have a good day.
Bye.